Hi, and welcome to Tapped into Hudson. I'm Steve Lenox, and I'm the publisher of Tap into Bayonne, Tap into Hoboken, and Tap into Jersey City. We've had a couple weeks off since we last filmed the show. We had some technical difficulties last week, entirely my fault, not our friends here at Hudson Media Group, but we're glad to be back in studio. We have a very special guest with us, and we always talk every single week that we don't have enough time with our guests. So I'm going to stop talking and launch right into Ward B Councilwoman Mira Prinz-Arey. Councilwoman, thank you so much for joining us today.
Steve, thank you so much for having me. It's great to sit
to.
down and be able to chat with you, not when we're running to events.
Exactly. That's usually the way, a couple fist bumps and a pat on the back.
Exactly.
Mira, where I want to start with you is just your transition from being a community activist to being a councilwoman back in 2017. How did that play out for you?
When they came to me to talk about running with the mayor and the mayor's ticket, I had a couple of conversations with some people that I was very close to, and it kind of came down to, not only is this a unique opportunity where I didn't have, I wasn't intending to run, right? But then where am I going to be more effective? Am I going to be more effective staying in the sort of community activist organizer space, or am I going to be more effective working on legislation and policy? So I said, well, let's give it a go. Let's see what happens. And the transition was actually pretty good. I feel really good about a number of the ordinances and resolutions that I've worked on while I've been on council. Some of the things we've been able to do for the residents of Ward B specifically, and Jersey City in general. And I'm still working. Well, I'm working more than I was when I was doing the community work, but I'm getting to engage in different ways, and also getting to bring up these next level of community activists and organizers in Ward B, which I think is really important to make space for everybody that way.
Bring some new people to the table.
Yeah.
When you use the phrase community organizer, I think, it's a phrase that's been around for generations, obviously, but probably made most popular in our generation by Barack Obama.
Yes.
Right? Went from community organizer and worked his way up to President of the United States. When you were doing the community work, did you ever envision serving in public office?
No. And but what I've learned over the years that I was doing it is that when you're in Jersey City, that ultimately becomes a question. And so when, and I talked with other friends of mine from different nonprofits and different volunteer groups, and that was sort of like we all have a very similar experience that way. And, I work with incredible people that are absolutely built for the role outside of government, working in partnership with the people in government, because that's really where you get the best ideas, that back and forth, that exchange.
Absolutely. What would you say was your biggest lesson going from outside government, where we like to think anything can happen when we energize government, and you got in and you realized things move slowly, but what was the best lesson maybe that you got moving from one side to the other?
Engagement. I was always on the other end of that, right? I was the one that would reach out to my council person, reach out to the mayor. And then when I was on the other side, just really making sure that all the right partners were at the table at the right time, right? So that's, and that surprised me, because I thought that would be a little bit more seamless. But when things move slowly and different people have different interests and different agendas, it's just making sure that you get that right mix.
And how do you do that? How do you get some of those agendas pushed aside and have reasonable conversations? It seems like this is a conversation I've had with guests week after week, whether it's Assemblywoman, whether it's Chairwoman DeGise, whoever it's been. It's trying to get those people together and put egos aside. How have you done that?
That's a great question. That is always a work in progress. But I think the most important thing to always lead with is meeting people where they're at, right? So I know, when as a council person is the work that I want to get done, I already know my agenda. So I want to hear your agenda. And I think that sometimes people use agenda as a bad word, but it's actually great, because if you know your agenda, you can come to me and say, hey, Councilwoman, I want to do this, this, and this, and this is why. Right. So then I can connect that person to the right agencies. Because if you don't come in with that kind of an agenda, I don't always know where to place people.
And how about when you're sitting there at a council meeting and you've got 8 colleagues and all, big egos in a good way and all want to do the right. I think most public servants want to do the right thing.
Absolutely.
How do you work with them? I mean, you tend to, it doesn't seem like you fight a whole lot, at least not in public. You all conduct yourselves very professionally. How does that play out on a weekly basis, a daily basis?
We have a really great council, and everyone on our council works really hard. I have a lot of respect for my council colleagues. We don't always get along. We don't always share the same viewpoints, but we all lead with the same agenda, again, just doing what's best for the city. We sometimes have different ways of getting there, but that's also part of the process, right? Hashing out those ideas and understanding, while this, idea might have worked in this part of the city, with stop signs or, doing bump outs or doing a road change or a road diet. It may not work over on this side of the city because the streets are narrower, we have different 1- and 2-way traffic ways, but just like listening and just like being just respectful of each other's opinion.
And how about dealing with the public when they come in? And obviously, they've been remote recently
Right.
for the past year, but they'll get back in eventually. How about dealing with the public and how you sort of have conversations with them in a public way?
I really enjoy working with the public, and I particularly enjoy working with people that I don't necessarily agree with, because again, there's a lot that can be learned that way. And the public speaking portion is a great opportunity, again, to really listen. Right? So that's what's been a challenge doing it remotely, is because when we're in chambers together, somebody has a point of view, I can send my aide over to introduce themselves or go get their contact information so we can continue it immediately after the council meeting. When we're doing remote, it's a little bit more challenging because I have to go through the clerk's office to get contact information if I don't know how to connect to the person.
All right. Councilwoman, when we come back in a few minutes, I want to talk more about Ward B. I want you to give our viewers who don't know Ward B, bit more of an understanding of what it's all about to live on the west side of Jersey City.
Great.
With that, we're joined by Councilwoman Mira Prinz-Arey, and we'll be right back. Thank you.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design studio and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net. Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
Good Friend Self-Storage in North Bergen, New Jersey is a fully climate-controlled facility equipped with state-of-the-art security, packing supplies, a Refer a Friend program, and multiple loading docks convenient for commercial use. Located just off of Route 3 at 4301 Tunnelly Avenue, Route 1 and 9. Call 201-867-2444 or visit us on the web today. Good Friend Self-Storage. Let us be your good friend.
Hi, and welcome back to Tapped into Hudson. We're going to launch right back into the conversation here with Jersey City's Ward B Councilwoman Mira Prinz-Arey. Councilwoman, some viewers, some of our readers may not be that familiar with Ward B, with the west side of Jersey City. Tell us about it.
Well, of course, I think it's great, and I
course.
think it's the one of the best sides, if not the best side of the city, right? So it's a pretty big ward. We start on the northern end at Broadway, over by where the old Pacini's restaurant used to be, and then we go all the way south to around State or NJCU, and up to Bergen Avenue, up until heading back north until around Montgomery, then down to the Boulevard, then down to West Side Avenue, and then all the way to 440. We are, I know every council person says that their ward is the most diverse, but my ward really is the most diverse racially, ethnically, socioeconomically, religiously, because we have for example, a very large Egyptian population. Part of it's Muslim, part of it's Coptic. You have the area around the Lincoln Park area with those, Doctors Row, Dentist Row, Lawyers Row, and then it sort of spreads out from there. What anchors the ward is Lincoln Park, a county park. It is the best park in the city. We have really great commercial corridors. You have, Mallory Avenue is a little bit quieter, but you have old mainstays like Carmine's. You have the new Jersey & Co., the new gelato shop. There's a new bike shop now on Mallory Avenue. I'm very excited about that. West Side Avenue is our main commercial corridor, and that's where we have our new special improvement district, which has been in place for about a year and a half, which is great.
Tell us more about the Special Improvement District. What is the Special Improvement District's role?
So the West Side Partnership is the management company, or the managing that is in charge of the district, and they work with businesses to give them support services. They do supplemental cleaning. They will work, and actually, and particularly during COVID, they were disseminators of information to make sure that our businesses were able to avail themselves of the different pockets of funding. We do beautification projects, and as they've started to become more involved, they were the main sponsor for two really big events that we had on the west side, the Santa Claus processional and the Easter Bunny processional, which was a really great way to connect residents to each other during COVID. And again, that was also brought up by some, Kay Von Zandt put something out on Facebook about Santa Claus, and that suddenly turned into a bunch of us in some cars with fire, with the police, with the Jeep crew going around the ward. And then we brought it back for Easter.
And when you celebrate the diversity of the west side of Ward B, and you talk about Christmas and Easter, and of course these aren't holidays that everybody celebrates.
Right.
I think about St. Patrick's Day. We were together
Right.
not too long
That's
ago for a
right.
one-block parade.
That's right.
But these events, and you said it several times in Tap Into, they're bringing people back together, aren't they? And they're making people comfortable to get back outside.
Yep, they really are. And everybody has different comfort level. People are getting vaccinated, which is great. We're at a pretty good percentage rate here in Jersey City. So if you guys haven't already done so, I highly recommend it. I was vaccinated at my second shot a couple weeks ago with Moderna.
Yep.
No big side effects. But again, people are going to, we've been, some sheltering in place for about a year. Some people are very eager to get out, can't wait. Other people are a little bit more cautious. So these kind of events allow people to engage at a level where they're comfortable, right? So, so like if they wanted to go to Gary's Sweet Shop to do the one block parade, you could even stand across the street on the other side of West Side Avenue. You could look out your window to see Santa Claus or to see the Easter Bunny, and we have other things that we're sort of talking about and bouncing around because, there's still a lot of issues to deal with in the ward as it relates to quality of life, but it can't all be work, and sometimes these events bring people out and they introduce themselves to neighbors that they might not normally meet, and those conversations are also kind of what spurs the work that needs to be done afterwards.
Can you give us any secrets on what might be coming up in the next few months? Any public events you might be organizing? Any breaking news here?
Well, we're still waiting on, directives from the governor's office as to how, people can gather, but
of course, he expanded those as of May 7th,
May 7th,
I believe.
correct.
Yep.
So I'm very excited about that. But some of the things we're working on, my friend Gay Dunstan and I, we're Westside Arts and Music. We're looking to bring back the summer music series in a smaller fashion. Usually it's 8 nights. I think we're going to try and do 4.
Okay.
There is some talk about connecting with Hudson Pride to do some satellite events during Pride during June and then also in August, because in Jersey City we celebrate Pride twice, which is fantastic. And I know that there are other groups that are sort of talking about different kind of outdoor and nature activities. I know the Parks Coalition has been pretty active, Friends of Lincoln Park and Friends of Boyd McGinnis Park, so that's pretty exciting. Audubon Park, which we call the Fab Park because it borders Ward A, F, and B. They're just about done with a complete redesign of the playgrounds there, so we've got a ribbon cutting for that, which is, is fantastic. So.
Great.
Some fun stuff. Yeah.
Councilwoman, when we come back in a few seconds, I want to talk more about the parks. So I've seen you several times over the past couple weeks at ribbon cuttings. And of course, you've been very active in the Parks Coalitions and on the Open Space Committee.
Yeah.
And you're going to talk some more about that with our readers and our viewers when we come back.
Great.
Please stick around, and we'll be back with Councilwoman Mira Prinz-Arey in just a few minutes. Thank you.
Thanks.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers a quality of life you deserve in 10 high-rise rental towers with amenities such as the on-site Newport Path subway, light rail and ferry service, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Sears, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams Supermarket is just outside your front door. A health and fitness club, spa, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. NewportNJ.com. Enjoy the New York skyline from Newport Town Square. Manhattan is just 1 path stop away or quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Want to visit Newport? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. Go to newportnj.com for details. Newport has luxurious towers, great restaurants, shopping, New York skyline views, schools, playgrounds, a marina and yacht club, gym, spa, fine wine, fine living. It's incredible. It's you. newportnj.com. Newport, live like you want.
Hi, and welcome back to Tapped into Hudson. We're going to waste no time getting right back into the conversation with Jersey City's Ward B Councilwoman Mira Prinz-Arey. Councilwoman, on the last segment there at the end, we were just starting to talk about parks. And I want to talk specifically about the Open Space Fund that Jersey City created recently. Why don't you tell our readers and our viewers a little bit about that, how it works, and what the benefits have been to date?
Yep, I would love to. So I actually started working on the referendum for the Open Space Trust Fund back before I was a council person, when I was on the board of the Jersey City Parks Coalition. They are a local nonprofit that has stewards in over 25 parks across the entirety of the city. An amazing group to work with. And what we found was, while there was money set aside for projects in the capital budget, there's always more work to do in our parks, right? So the referendum question went to ballot, and it was overwhelmingly approved. We created the fund, and what it is it is a small percentage of property tax that goes into a fund specifically for our parks. It's not meant to do maintenance, but it's meant to do park improvements. There's opportunity to do historic improvements, like with our monuments and some of those features, but also allows for land acquisition should we get to that point. This year, we pressed pause on it last year for COVID, just to sort of, nobody knew what it was going to look like. So we figured we were trying to make it as easy on the taxpayer as possible. It was reinstated this year, and it was reinstated to match the same fund or the same percentage as the Arts Fund, which is also starting this year.
Yes.
So we should be on board to collect close to $1 million. And what we were able to do with the funding the last time around was do projects in parks across the entirety of the city, and everything from small pocket parks and community gardens to major work at the reservoir and also in Riverview, where I saw you last.
Yes. Yep.
Right. And what's so great about this fund is that it is completely community driven, meaning that when we do our open call for work, local organizations can work with a nonprofit sponsor to suggest ideas for things they'd like to see in their park. Then all of the suggestions go to the Open Space Trust Fund Committee, and then we score them and rate them in order of importance, and get to execute the work that way. So it's the closest we have to a participatory budgeting process, I would say, in Jersey City, and it directly benefits parks, and so you see that immediate impact to open space in your neighborhoods.
And under Mayor Fulop, through his administration, and obviously with you at his side and some of your colleagues, I mean, parks have clearly been a priority for this administration. And when you drive around Jersey City, as I've done, a lot recently since starting Tap Into, and you get to see some of these parks, they're just absolutely beautiful. I mean, Riverview Park, it's a real jewel, and what's going to happen with the reservoir and Mosquito Park, as I understand it's called. Just tell our readers and our viewers a little bit, why are parks so important in urban settings? I think sometimes we lose sight of that.
Parks are very important in urban settings for, in my opinion, a couple of very specific reasons. First and foremost, there is the health benefit, right? You're living in an urban environment. There's a lot of concrete. So when you have a park, even if it's a small pocket park, right, there's, you get to get direct connection to nature, right? So it also kind of cools the area a little bit. You have shade tree coverage and the like. It's also, parks for me have always been very important because they're one of the truly democratic spaces in a city. Anybody can go and enjoy them. It doesn't matter who you are, what your station is, or why you're there. It's a place where people can connect. And it's also great, to meet your neighbors. It's a great way for, kids to connect with each other and connect to nature, especially in urban areas. Their relationship is very different. I came from a town in California that was fairly rural when I was little, when I was growing up, and so I had a very different relationship with open space. And when I talked to friends of mine that were grew up in San Francisco, for example, or grew up in Oakland, And there's also, there's a great opportunity there to use it for different kinds of events, again, too, that brings community together. And, I just can't stress the importance of it, especially in an urban area.
And the mental health aspects of it, of course, right? Just being able to sit down on a park bench with the trees, with the shade, reading a book, especially over this past year when we've, as you said, we've been in lockdown for so long, just to get back outside and see other people.
Well, that's I think was when there was people really connected to parks was during COVID. I know when the governor closed state and county parks, Commissioner O'Day and I worked very closely together to encourage the governor to at least reconsider with county parks, because Lincoln Park was saving grace for so many people. And we're not like a state park, we're not like a driving destination park. It's very, very much for the residents of the ward. And while it is the most beautiful and one of the largest parks in the city, we don't have a lot of other open space options right now in my ward, so it's really important.
Of course, we were in Lincoln Park for Earth Day, a wonderful celebration. Thousands of families showed up there, and you talk about the diversity. I mean, the diversity certainly showed that day. Councilwoman, in the last 30 seconds or so in this segment, you mentioned the Arts Fund.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. So this, again, another referendum question that was put to voters last year, overwhelmingly approved, over 60%, which is fantastic. And what this does is this fund supports equitable access to the arts in Jersey City. And what does that mean? It allows people to connect more directly to the arts regardless of where they are located in the city. There's a lot of arts happening downtown, art activities downtown. We're seeing more in the Heights. We're starting to see a little bit more in Journal Square. But my friend Gay and I got started. We did our music series and we did, the JC, Fridays, because there was nothing on our side of the city.
Nothing on the west side of the city.
Yeah, so this is going to support, again, the west and south sides of the city in a way that I don't think we've ever seen before.
Councilwoman, when we come back, I want to make sure we don't forget to talk about Skyway Park. So that's going to be an absolute jewel in Jersey City. Please stick with us for a few minutes and we'll be right back with one more segment with Ward B Councilwoman Mira Prinz-Arey.
Hudson Regional Hospital, we promise to be prepared for your emergency.
We promise to provide world-class robotic surgical care.
We promise to treat you like family.
To provide accurate diagnostic care.
To provide the most innovative orthopedic care at your doorsteps.
We promise to treat your baby like our own.
To never stop investing in the best of spinal care.
To be with you every step of the way.
Here at Hudson Regional Hospital, we promise to take care of our community.
Pinto Properties, Jersey City. Shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office spaces that address your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment, adjacent to all modes of transportation with on-site parking available. The right address, the right lease. Call 201-521-9000 or visit online at panapintoproperties.com. Panapinto Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
Okay, welcome back for our final segment of Tap into Hudson. I'm joined today by Councilwoman Mira Prinz-Arey of Ward B in Jersey City. Again, we talk every week about running out of time on this show, and we're going to run out of time quickly, but I don't want to forget to talk about Skyway Park.
Yes.
We were there, what was it, in December, I think, when Mayor Fuller kind of broke ground and put the shovels in. Tell everybody about that park.
This is going to be an amazing park for a number of different reasons. In part because it is, going to be this massive park with over 500 trees that is going to be one of the gateway entries into Jersey City. This has been a very long time coming. The Friends of Skyway Park and other local activists have been working on this project for decades, back from when that area was a brownfield, right? And it used to catch fire and it used to burn, and it directly affected the health and well-being of residents in the Marion section, that northern end of Jersey City. So there was an opportunity to create a memorial park specifically for family members who lost somebody during COVID and weren't able to have a funeral service for their family. Excuse me one second. So we sort of bounced around ideas with Friends of Skyway. They were, absolutely, thought this was a great idea. There's also going to be greater connectivity to the Greenway, the Green Belt that goes along the Hackensack River. So this is basically going to open up that entire riverfront from over Bayonne all the way to that northern end of Jersey City. So the first phase of the project is going to be the planting of the Memorial Grove, and we're on course to plant over 500 trees, which is going to do a massive improvement in air quality, and especially being right there, like right off of the entrance into the turnpike, and like that whole area is just so heavily industrial, and just like really brighten that up. It's gonna bring a beautiful park amenity again to the people on the northern side of the city, which they don't really have. There really is very little green space. There's Cosimo Duffy Park and Mark Tucci Field and the pool that sort of separates the west side from Journal Square, but that's really about it over there. So like this, I think, is going to be a fantastic project, and it's going to mean a lot of different things to a lot of people.
Absolutely. It's a great victory for environmental justice. I mean, to hear all those environmental advocates speak that day in December about opening that waterfront back up to the people, putting it back in the hands of where it should be and getting that industrial waste out of there.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's so great too to see some of the like Mario Vertibello, who was working on this for decades. We had another woman who was there, Carlene McGuire, and her family worked on that from when she was a little kid back, when Bill O'Day was a council person, right? Like this goes back to Keene, right? So it's just people that have been fighting for this for so long to finally see, this area open up and let sort of nature does what it does best, which is reclaim land.
Absolutely. Before we wrap up, I want to go back to small business. I want to talk about that a little bit. Yesterday, Mayor Fuller posted a groundbreaking down on the Newark Avenue pedestrian plaza. That, of course, is going to be, rebuilt and restructured and made more European-like, is what they keep saying. You've got a similar project on the west side, along West Side Avenue, some streetscaping.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
So part of this, the west side of the city hasn't seen any major facelifts or upgrades in a very long time. And there had been talk about doing some safety upgrades with painted bump outs and delineators. We received a DOT grant for that, but that takes about 3 years from like application to execution. In the meantime, the MUA had started their long-term control plan, so there was an opportunity for the city and the MUA to work together with grant funding and local capital dollars to do a complete streetscape along the entirety of West Side Avenue. And what does that mean? So that means we're going to be getting bump outs, we're going to be getting new sidewalks, we're going to be doing some rain gardens and different landscaping to capture water. Anybody who's ever been down West Side Avenue and Sip Avenue, when it rains, it floods, and it actually becomes quite dangerous, especially during flash flooding. So this is going to be, starting again at that northern end at Broadway and going the first 5 blocks. That's going to be the first phase, and then it'll be a multi-phase project over probably realistically the next 2 years from start to finish. But it's also going to be the longest continual streetscape improvement program in the entirety of the city.
Wow.
And we're going to be getting bump out rain gardens before downtown. So I'm very excited
You're advocating
about
hard
that.
on your behalf of your
advocating
constituents.
hard.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And one of the reasons why it's also we are better set up for success is because of the West Side Partnership. So the West Side Partnership with their supplemental cleaning services is going to help the city with maintenance to keep the rain gardens, clean and free of debris, because I know that that's been a big concern of residents, is how that's going to impact that. And that's just going to also go along with their beautification efforts. It's going to go along with their mini grant program that allows businesses to put new awnings up to sort of give their, the face of their business a refresh, which really goes a long way to making, a commercial corridor that's, really nice to walk down and shop at.
Walkability really has such a big impact on safety, doesn't it?
Yeah, huge. I mean, and that's, especially in Jersey City, we have a lot of regional traffic, we have a lot of traffic in general. And if we're looking at our neighborhoods in a way and through that walkability lens, it makes a huge difference, because then you don't need to jump in your car to go 5 blocks to the store to pick up something that you need. Like you can just know that you're going to walk down sidewalks that don't have uplift, that you're not going to trip over, and that are actually, feel and look clean.
Councilwoman, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you for spending time speaking to our viewers and our readers. And thank you for your support of Tap Into Jersey City in the past year and your support of local news. I think we're ending the conversation the way we started, by talking about partnerships. And it's so important that we all keep talking to each other. And that's what Tap Into Jersey City has really been trying to do for the past 12 months. We thank you for sticking with us as long as you have been. We look forward to seeing you again next week. Thank you.